When we talk about the population, a population is defined as the group of individuals belonging to the same species occupying a given conditions or environmental conditions or an ecosystem. For example, when we talk about the population, I can say that this is the population of fenugreeks because each of these particular fenugreek leaves is representing is a representative of one plant of fenugreek grown in this area, and they all belong to the same species. And here in the next patch of lane, I can find the growth of mustard. So these are individuals of mustard plant occupying the same taxonomic status, in the sense they all belong to mustard, and they are being grown here. So this is the population of mustard. So if we happen to go to the next patch of land, this is a wild variety of mustard grown in this particular area. Then if we go further down, we have different patches of this field which is occupied by different species, but each of this particular field is divided into boundaries, and where the farmer try to prevent the growth of other species but is trying to grow specifically one particular group of plants or populations of individuals of plant belonging to a specific species has been grown here. So the best example is here. You see on the left side you have the fenugreek population, and on the right side you have the population of mustard. Here in this particular case, what we see here is I don't find even one particular individual stalk of or the individual mustard here on this particular page of land on the left side. But if you go to the right side, we find all of them are occupied by mustard. So this is one of the characteristics of population. When we talk about the population, it is a group of organisms belonging to the same species occupying a given environmental conditions or occupying a given area of this agricultural field. So how do we differentiate this population from the community, or how do we understand community? We can understand community only by differentiating it from population. That is one of the very important fundamental characteristics that we have to go into before we go deep into the nature, dynamics, and other characteristics of community. So the first characteristics of the community is a community should be a group of interacting group of organisms belonging to different species in a given ecosystem. But here we try to differentiate, we try to bring that particular concept of community by first of all understanding what population is. So population is a group of individuals belonging to the same species occupying a given environmental conditions. Now let's proceed, and in the next picture I just want to show you how community is being constituted. This is one of the field laboratory come office of the Center of Urban Ecology and Sustainability, Ambedkar University, Delhi. And this particular institution has been trying for the last 3 years and quite successfully is also responsible for restoring a degraded landscape into a thriving community today. In this particular city called Delhi, where we find many of the nalas and many of the drainage systems is ending in one of the lifelines of this particular city called the Yamuna River. And this particular place where I am taking the video is situated by the side of the river Ganga and Yamuna, and this particular place has been declared as degraded landscape, and a few years ago this area was trying to be converted into a housing society and some other land use, but the university, that is Ambedkar University Delhi, and the Center of Urban Ecology and Sustainability has responsible for converting a barren, degraded landscape into a community. I just want to show you how this particular community, or how this particular area, this was all degraded, but in recent time, the group of researchers and the members belonging to this particular center has been responsible for converting this particular landscape into a thriving community or an ecosystem. So if you look at this particular ecosystem and enter into it, it will be very, very surprising that 3 years ago this particular area was totally degraded landscape, and here you cannot see even a single patch of grass growing here, but today it's a lot of, you see, the plants and wild plants have started coming into this particular landscape, and many of the depressions which is felt by seasonal rainfall has become one of the very important epicenters of many of the aquatic vegetations and aquatic animals. And this particular year we have already discovered, not a new one, but we have found, we have identified near about 5-6 families of dragonflies from the small water bodies which was met in this particular landscape during the monsoon season. So let's go into this particular ecosystem and see how the concept of population that we have discussed just right now is differentiated from the concept of community. I still remember way back in 1999 and 2000, this particular area was already, the landscape was very interesting, and yes, it was landfilled and it was completely dry, and we didn't see any tree, any patches of grasslands. But today, um, 3 years ago, we started planting trees, and some of the endemic, so these particular trees were endemic species, and we did a lot of environmental history and trying to find out what kind of species of plants were grown earlier in this particular area. And after that, it was introduced, and protection was given to them. And in the next year again, the plantation was done, the third year also. But for the last 2 years, till three, till three, till the from for continuous 3 years, there were a lot of plantations. Afterwards, there was no plantation at all, and but the kind of changes that has been brought by the introduction of the endemic species have really changed this particular landscape to a thriving natural ecosystem. So let's enter and explore. So if we look at, yeah, this is autumn season. Now the December has already started setting in, but during the rainy season, this area was so green, and there were a lot of small water bodies. So this is one particular setup which is used for insect trapping at night. So this particular plants are there, and a lot of Phragmites population here, and this really indicates that this particular area was occupied by water till very recently. And yes, if you look at this site, this is one particular, this is a playground for many of the dragonflies till recently, till 1 month ago. So this is one of the depressions, and this was a thriving pond. And during this particular monsoon season, it was all filled up with water and was a breeding ground for different varieties of dragonfly. So this was an aquatic ecosystem. A lot of migratory birds also visited this particular small Poodle's pond. So this is it. So if we look at a community, so this is a community. So you have Phragmites, you have bushes here, you have grasses, and set very till recently, this particular area was full of grass. Hoppers were hovering, and this is the water body, and a lot of aquatic vegetation used to grow in this particular area. So if you look at the community, you have different stratifications, different layers. For example, this is a grassland, and you have the ground occupied by small grasses. And come up a little bit upwards, you have bushes, you have shrubs, and some of the young trees are coming up. There are phragmites. Then we have acacia, we have leguminous plants. So different layers are there. Suppose, for example, if I want to find a butterflies, I will not be finding in this particular water body or inside a water body, but this particular butterflies and the grasshoppers will be hovering up, the adult ones, and you will find them sucking the nectars of the flowers and the grasses which is grown here. So this is a community. So in the community you have different stratification, you have layers. For example, this is the grass, and then if you dug it out, you may find there's a root of this particular plant, and associated with the root we may find many of the symbiotic and many of the other soil living organisms, or the larvae of the insects, you may find it. Then you have this grasses. Just above this particular grasses you have this particular tree, young trees coming up. Then you have the bushes, you have acacia. So like this. So a woodpecker will not be pecking air on the ground, but if you want to find the woodpeckers, definitely we will be going on top of the trees or the trunk of the tree. So there is a different zone in a particular community where different sets of organisms are going to be found. So for example, if I have to find the snails, so during that monsoon season, there were this particular bed of the pond was full of gastropods, full of nymphs of the dragonflies and many other organisms. Okay. Then on the surface we find a lot of algae. Then by the site of this particular pond we found lot of breathing frogs. Then you come up, so this is the bed, then this are the bank. You can still find the roots there. Then you find the trees. So different layers are there in a particular community, but when we talk about the population just recently, we don't find this kind of layering. So it's all occupied by one particular single species of the plant, which is not the case in this particular case of community. So let us just go a little bit and then let's see. Yeah, if you happen to look at, so at one point of the water level was up to here, and then you have water, and if you see, if I just remove it, you have the roots of the grasses, and we'll find the roots of some of the trees which is extended up to here. You can find some of the roots are like this. And very interesting thing is, I hope you will be able to see how this particular bed of the pond was the best place for the young developing dragonflies, and which is called a nymph. And then when they become mature, they come off on the bank of this particular pond and they metamorphose before they finally become the adult. This is one of the this interesting thing. This is an exubia. This is the older skin of the dragonfly. So this is how dragonfly, and then the adults they go away from. Okay, so this is how they should. Oh, I'm so sorry. So those are the exubia, right? So in this particular aquatic ecosystem, you have the floor. Then whichever the light could penetrate, you find the vegetation growing. Okay, then you have the bank where many of the amphibians will be there. Then after this particular layer, in this particular aquatic ecosystem, different layers are there, and then you come off, then you have the ground occupied by the grasses, then by the bushes, shrubs, then trees. If we happen to go to the tropical rainforest, the condition will be very much different from here, and the layers, the vertical stratification of the layers or the zones of life will be very, very different, or they may have more number of layers, right? So this is part of this is something that I really want to share with you. Yeah.